Good morning, guys. Good to see y'all. This is amazing. It's cold as hell. I don't know where y'all are from, but where I'm from, it doesn't get this cold. This is rough for me. So, and you know, if a speaker's worst nightmare is to wake up with a cold and a sore throat where you start coughing. So if I go into a little coughing fit, I apologize, but I'll push through. I know there's hardships greater than that. All right, we are here to talk about the 25 smartest things that we have seen fence companies to do online that you should steal. And of course, I'm being, facetious about the steal situation. Let's say it's inspire. Let's go with inspire. All right, so before we get into this whole mess, let me give you a little bit of background because it does matter who is talking to you, what that background is. So quick background, not selling anything here for sure, but I want you to know who I am and where this information comes from. So I am the owner of DotCom. We are the largest website design digital marketing agency serving the fence industry. We only work in the fence industry. This is where we specialize. We've been doing this for 10 years. And so the things that I'm gonna share with you are actual items that we see on a daily basis. This isn't theory. This isn't some idea that works in the roofing industry. It works in other industries, but we don't know if it works in fence. Everything we're going to talk about today is specific to fence companies. So dial in because this is all proven stuff. You can see the stuff we do here, and you might recognize some of those key faces and some of those key names. Again, I just want to establish that you can trust that what I'm telling you is legit. We work with hundreds and hundreds of fence companies across the country. Been doing it for 10 years. And Justin, Justin and I are probably the two top speakers in the fence industry. We speak at every major event. Justin's on my team. He's in one of these rooms speaking right now. So anyway, this is what we do. We educate the world the best we can and try to help y'all do whatever you need to do. If you want the notes, you can scan this QR code so you can kind of be fully present. And if you're a little slow getting to your phone, this QR code will come out again at the end. So don't get frantic that you might have missed this stuff. But I'll be happy to give you the video. We're recording this session. I'll be happy to give you the video of this, the slides, the notes. What I want to do is I want to make sure that you are here and fully present and thinking and engaged. So often people go down and write something or type something or do whatever, and then you miss something. So relax. Let's be present here. We have plenty of time to do this. This is a longer session, so we're going to be able to slow it down. If anybody has ever heard me speak before, how many have heard me speak in the past? Yeah, see a lot of people. That's awesome. Yeah, man, welcome back. Check that out. How cool is that? All right, so if you have seen me speak in the past, there are times I rip it, man. We go. We're going to be able to relax a little bit here today. This is not going to be that kind of fast pace because I want to dig into these things a little bit more. That being said, how many people are here at FenceTech for the very first time this year? Never been to FenceTech. That's almost half the room. That's unbelievable. Welcome. Good job for you. That's awesome. So for those of you that have never attended FenceTech or are not used to attending events like this, I just want to give you some wisdom of experience of years of doing this. Man, it is like drinking from a fire hose. It comes at you fast and hard. If you're hitting multiple sessions and all these people you meet, you are not going to be able to retain all of it. You're not going to be able to retain the vast majority of it. If you try, you will drive yourself crazy. And I see overwhelm. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, there's so much to do. I've seen it cause people to want to quit. Right? Don't do that, right? That's not the point here. You latch on to one or two key things that you're like, this spoke to me. Most of the stuff that I'm going to say, hopefully, you're like, man, I've already got that pretty good. I don't need that. But maybe there's the one thing or the two things like that was for me. And your one thing or two things may be different than your one thing or two things, right? The key is if you can walk out and you can latch on to one thing or two things that you can truly put into action, dude, you won. You won. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you're not used to doing these kinds of things, that's important. And then one of the things I say all the time is that the information that I present, my intention, my belief, is that is for you to manage, not necessarily for you to do. Most of the folks sitting in this room right now are the owners of the business or an operations manager, or you have a position within your company. Are there any full-time web design, I do the marketing for my company. That's what I do, and that's all I do. Right, so we all have other jobs, right? Now that might be part of what you do, right? But my encouragement to you is if you are your company's web designer, since none of you are full-time at it, if you are your company's marketing guy, but if you're your company's web designer, I would suggest that you fire your web designer. All right, it's too big of a job, it's too important of a job for it to be a little side piece, right? I think you're gonna see that it's very, very important. But you cannot manage what you don't understand, right? That's the thing that we see often. In fact, I see this all the time. Like, man, I don't know anything about it. That's why I hired this dude, and it's up to him to do that, right? That is not a path to success, right? You have to be informed so that you can properly manage people and properly hold people accountable. We know this in business, right? But somehow in marketing and with websites, sometimes we're like, oh man, thank God that I got this geek, he knows more, right? That doesn't mean he's doing it right, doesn't mean he didn't make mistakes, doesn't mean that he or she doesn't need some oversight and guidance, because they may know marketing, they may know the web, but you are the ultimate expert in your business and what your goals are and what you want to achieve, right? And so you have to have that understanding to properly manage people. I can't stress it enough. I see it, that's like the biggest thing that I see all the time is people try to outsource their success. You cannot outsource your success. You have to be an active partner in your success. Now, if you get a great partner, that great partner can help carry a lot of the load, might be able to even carry the majority of the load, but they can't carry the entire load. That's not fair, it's not a path to success. We all on the same page on that? So I appreciate y'all being here. All right, let's jump right into it. Now, the 3 reasons from a marketing standpoint, the 3 reasons that you do anything online are to get more traffic, to get greater conversions, right? Or to build your brand. So all of the things that we're gonna talk about here are going to be directed to one of those 3 things. I do want to talk about brand for just a second before we dive into this, because this is another area, just talking to fence folks all the time, there's a significant number of folks that will equate like a logo with the brand. So your logo is not your brand. Your logo is part of the brand, right? But that's a conversation that I will hear all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I got my brand, boom, I got a logo. Right? That's only part of your brand, right? This is a brand visual, it represents the brand, but your brand is many, many things. Sure, it's your logo, it's your color scheme, absolutely, right? It's the promise that folks can count on when they're dealing with you. This is the brand promise of what that experience is gonna be like. We experience this all the time with McDonald's, right? We know, you could picture right away what your experience at McDonald's is gonna be. For better or for worse, whatever it is, you can see it because they deliver on that promise, right? Starbucks, we can almost smell it. I don't even drink Starbucks. I can smell the Starbucks. I know what a Starbucks shop looks like. I know what that experience is. I know when I don't get that experience, I know that this was off. I know what to expect, right? So you guys, it's your job to establish your brand. And this is not a brand conversation, but it's so important. I just wanted to take a second here because we are going to talk about some brand related issues just a tiny bit in some of these examples, right? It's your logo, it's your color scheme, it's the brand promise. We are we're the one company that you could count on that when we tell you we're going to show up Monday at 8 a.m., we are going to be there Monday at 8 a.m. That is our brand. Well, you better deliver on that, right? Or we offer a 3-year warranty, manufacturer warranty, workmanship warranty, and you better deliver on that 3-year, right? Or that's when you really piss some people off, right? Well, you said this and then you get blasted on Facebook. So when you say a thing, you have to deliver that thing. You can say anything. You can tell people to go pound sand and say, yeah, there's no warranty, especially on wood. Are you out of your mind? I guarantee that it's going to twist, warp, crack, and you could do that, right? But if you're going to say a thing, you have to live it. It's when you get blown up when you fail to live up to the word that you said, which is your brand. And then your brand becomes, you can't count on these people. You can't trust these people. They have a bad reputation, right? Then that becomes your brand. So we'll look at that a little bit more. And by the way, how many of y'all know that people are willing to pay way more for a strong brand? Way more, right? This is the complaint that we hear all the time. Is like, man, I don't want to tell people what my price is. Which price per foot? How much is it going to cost for this fence? Or they just call, hey, I just want to know how much it's going to cost for a vinyl fence, right? And you're like, you're like, yeah, but, you know, and you don't want to give the price because you want to educate them. Like, let me walk you along why our prices are a little bit higher and why it's a great value and why it's worth it, right? And you want to do all that. Yo, Jordan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. All right. So if you can establish the brand, then people will be willing to pay more. It's like, look, I know these guys are good. They have an incredible reputation. Look at them, man. They're sharp. They have a truck into this and that, and they showed up. They're good. Everything's good. I like the way they presented. I like their sales material. I like after they got the sale that I got the call to verify everything. And hey, my team's going to be here tomorrow, 8 a.m. And all of that goes to your brand. And people become willing to pay a lot more for all of that. But the biggest problem that I hear all the time is people aren't willing to pay. I would suggest to you, just file this away. This is all a little bit of a side because we have time to relax a little bit, like I said, is if you find yourself thinking that people only care about price, if that's the thought that you have, that people only care about price, I would challenge you that your brand and the way you're delivering your brand may not be up to par. I'm not saying price isn't a major driver, but if you say that's the only thing they care about, I would suggest that your brand may be a little weak or you're not presenting it well. All right, and that's a topic for a different day, but it's a challenge that I will present to you. All right, so the first item, traffic, you know, look, in the end, a lot of folks are like, hey, I want traffic, but I want the right kind of right quality of traffic. I totally get that, man. I am on board with you 100%, right? If you want high-end jobs, then that's the kind of traffic you want. Whatever your situation is, I want, heavy commercial. Like, well, don't bother me with the residential traffic. Like, I don't do gate repairs or fence repairs, and yet I get all this repair traffic, and then I got to deal with whatever your situation is. I totally get that you want, not only do you want traffic, but you want the right kind of traffic. We'll try to deal with that just a little bit. But by the same token, this really is a numbers game. Even the wrong kind of traffic, if you get enough traffic and you have the processes and systems internally to deal with these things efficiently, right? You just win out of raw volume, right? But the best idea is get more traffic and more of the right kind of traffic. This happens mostly through local rankings, Google Map Pack. Anybody who was in my talk yesterday, I saw there were a bunch of them that raised their hands, know that about 55% of all of the website traffic that we see coming into fence contractors across the country comes from those local searches, fence company near me, right? That's critical. You have to win on the Google Local Map Pack. Again, the talk here is not talking about how to do that, but you need to know that that's a key. Then Google organic rankings, and then AI is absolutely changing things. It's still a small percentage. We're seeing about 8% of all traffic going to fence company websites is coming through some version of AI mention, and that spans all kinds of different AI engines, and even including Google overviews. But it's only about 8%. But it was like 1% a year ago. It was less than 1% a year ago. So that's an incredible amount of growth, and it's expected to double or even triple almost within the next year. So that's all of a sudden going to be a big deal. Again, all right, so traffic, conversions, what happens with conversions? You got to capture their attention. You have to build trust. We're going to be looking at how to do all that. Educate and inspire. Almost every fence contractor we talk about gets into this. If they only knew the difference, they would be willing to pay more. They would choose us and not the Chuck in the truck and the fly-by-night guy and the lifetime warranty, but the dude's out of business in 8 months, and what does that mean, and all those things. If we only had time to educate these guys and could get in front of them, I know they would see our value, right? So that's the educational piece. I love that. That's my favorite part, so I'm with you on all that. And then how to capture the lead with strong offers. That's another thing. We'll just have a conversation, look at all kinds of examples, and then we talked about brand, stand out from the crowd, be unique and memorable, strong message. All right, let's start now. I'm not going to be knocking your socks off with all these. There's some of them that I hope I do knock your socks off with, but you always have to deal with the basics. You can't swing for the fences, right, until you're solid with the basics. So we're going to start with some basics just to make sure, because if you're missing any of the basics, alarm bells should go off like, ooh, man, I'm thinking about my website. I don't think we do that. Or I'm thinking about what we're doing on social media or other places. I don't think we're doing that. So let's start there, make sure we got all that, and then we'll deal with the rest. All right, so stealable idea number one. I'm just using examples of folks we work with in different ways. So these are actual website screenshots we're going to be looking at here. So very clear and direct statement of who you are. It's amazing. Think about your website. Man, I hope there isn't anybody in here. I bet you it wouldn't surprise me if 1 out of every 4 of you would fail this test. To go to your website and just at the top, a clear statement of, we are a fencing contractor in this case, Lafayette, Louisiana. Just a very clear statement. Google absolutely wants that and needs that. AI needs it even more, right? And the public needs it, but it's amazing how many don't just do that. So this is great for traffic because this helps with Google rankings and AI. If you don't do this, you are hurting yourself right away. I see a hand, go ahead.
How about the footers of the website? Do you have any footers?
So the footer, absolutely. So the footer, okay, you know what, man, we do have time, so fire these up. I love that question. So Google prioritized, just like we would. If you and I were talking, and it took me 2 hours to finally tell you a thing, whatever that thing is, how important is that thing? Like we've been talking about football and fence or whatever. We've been talking about that stuff. These are the things we care about. And eventually I start talking about some other thing hours and hours later, less and less important. Google prioritizes position. Whatever it is you put at the top is the most important. And as you go down the page, that becomes less and less important. So I love it in the footer as a support. If you do it in the footer, this gives you a chance to expand on it. This here, it would not make sense to expand on it. We are a fence contractor in Lafayette. That plain, right? But in the footer, you can now give like a little blurb and say, we've been serving the Lafayette area for over 20 years and installing this 5-star rated, and you can expand on it in the footer. Beautiful, it's more narrative, tell a story. Cool? All right, good. All right, so simple statement about being who you are. Again, tip number 2, very easy. Your contact information has to sit up there. Please look at your website. Again, you guys are gonna have notes, so you don't have to be taking notes right now. You can just get them from me. But you should go down a checklist. Did we make the simple statement? 1, is our contact information sitting up at the top very clearly? As many pieces of contact info as you want to do. Not everybody wants to put an email address on their website. They just don't want to answer the emails. I don't like it, but that's your call. Some folks actually don't like their phone number on there. I would say you really might want to rethink that position, but I have come across that. But give these people as many opportunities to reach out to you and interact with you as possible at the very top, because we're seeing the full website view. But when you stack this into a cell phone view and this starts to become a scroll, this stuff starts to go down the page just a little bit, depending on how it's structured, right? So you want that stuff at the top. Instant fence quote, I'm a huge believer in this. I know that there's a pretty solid conversation out there with some of the folks. I don't know if there's anybody in this room that like, hey, I tried this tool. It didn't really work for me as well as I thought. And then I have other folks that say, dude, you wouldn't believe how many leads and how important this is to us. Same tool, different experiences. We're actually gonna talk about that one towards the very end a little bit more. But give people all the ways to interact with you. Very simple. It's not rocket science, but man, if you miss it, it makes a difference. All right, number 3. This is where things start going off the rails for some folks. You need an easy, skimmable. We're not reading. People don't read. You don't read. I don't read. We don't read until we don't invest the energy. Think about this. This is how crazy the world has become. We don't invest the energy to read until you have gotten me interested. Now you've earned whatever micro bit of effort and energy it takes for me to actually read. Now you've earned the read. But before the read, all I do is skim. That's what all of us do. We just kind of skim, right? So it has to be readable. Now I'm saying that because if your website has 15 different navigation options across the top, you can't skim that. You have to stop and focus and this and that. So you want to limit it, be very clear. We do fences, we do gates, we have other services apparently, and then people can start to imagine what those types of related services might be. Of course, all of these drop down. Company resources, keep it simple, keep it skimmable. I see sometimes folks will use like 3, 4, 5 different words for like a navigational item. Don't do that. Keep it simple, keep it skimmable. By the way, this is not just for people, this is for Google also. This right here is how Google establishes the context of what's happening in your business, the way your whole site's organized, the way your business is organized. So this is for people, this is for Google as well. All right, so very important geek tip. If you want to rank for a thing, you have to have a page for that thing. And this is where things fail, it can't suck. All right, so if you were in my talk yesterday, you heard some of this, but we're gonna hear it a little bit differently today. So if you wanna rank for aluminum fence, you have to have an aluminum fence page. And it can't suck. It has to be legit. It has to good information, photos, FAQs, examples. These are the styles. This is right. Like it has to have legitimate, good quality information, not generic. It has to have some depth. Chain link fence, wood fence, vinyl fence. You want to rank for these things? You have to have dedicated pages that don't suck about those things. Well, there's other ways to look at this. We know this, right? But if you want to rank for residential fence, you better have a page for residential fence. It's amazing how many folks I see that come to us and I'll look at their website and yeah, I'll have a thing for aluminum and vinyl or whatever, but it's like, do you do a residential fence? It's like, well, obviously. Well, not obvious to me because your website doesn't say it like that. Doesn't have a page about that. So Google doesn't catch that. AI does not catch that. AI is the dumbest smart thing in the world, or the smartest dumb, I don't know which one. It's unbelievable how absolutely idiotically stupid it is and how incredibly brilliant it is all at the same time. And so if you don't say it clearly and plainly, AI does not necessarily pick it up off of your site. So residential fence, commercial fence, farm fence, whatever kind of fence you want, man. Perimeter fence, here's one I don't see any. I know y'all do perimeter fence, all you do it. I guarantee there's not more than 3 people in this room that have perimeter fence as a dedicated page on your site that's the focus of the page. Do you mention it as a keyword? Sure, somewhere by accident on the site somewhere you probably have the word perimeter fence a couple of times. But do you have a dedicated page about that? And privacy fence, security fence. I often see decorative fence. I almost never see pages for decorative fence. And yet the Google traffic shows that there's a lot of folks out there that are searching for decorative fence. You don't have a page that doesn't suck, you're not gonna rank very well for it. And it goes on and on. Pool fence, pet fence, trash fence, garden fence, picket fence, rail, curve fence. Well, good, I don't even know. That came up all of a sudden. This is a new term, right? Picket fence, rail fence, horse fence, cattle, all these fences, pineapple shrimp, lemon shrimp, right? So there's all kinds of different fences and shrimps. So if you want to rank for these things, you need a page for these things. And so when you think about your site, I'm fairly certain there's a whole bunch of people sitting here like, oof, man, my site's a little thin. I don't have all these pages. You got to do it. All right, because some of your competitors do. That's the problem. If nobody had it and you weren't competing against anybody that had any of this, then you would be fine. But even the startup dude that's been doing fence for about 5.5 seconds, right, doesn't know anything, right, nothing. It barely has a business card at this point, right? It isn't private, nothing. But if they got a website that put this stuff on there, they may be outranking you for some of these keywords in the first month of business because you don't have it and they do.
Good question. So with these pages, do they have to be a direct link from the main page? Can it be just a back page that maybe an ad is directing it to?
That's actually 2 separate awesome questions all wrapped up into one. Let me see. All right. I'm actually going to hit some of that with this, and then I'm going to answer the rest of it in a second if I could. All right, so what does that look like? You know, we got the main navigation here, but of course you have drop downs. And depending on, so you could get these things in there, right from the main navigation. This is the priority. This is what Google will use to structure your site. Anything that is not in your main navigation is a secondary level of importance in terms of the way Google perceives your site. That doesn't mean it's completely unimportant, but it's secondary importance. So you can do all this, and then, and then certainly, obviously this is not a live demo of website where I can actually show you things unfolding, but some of these things could even unfold further and further and further depending. But at no point should it be complicated and overwhelming. Right, so that's the balance, that's the art of this. So the science is the stuff I'm telling you, is you need to check, do this, do this, do this. But the art of being able to do it, but still present it in a way that isn't overwhelming to people, that really is kind of an art. So you can see this is not overwhelming, right? And you start to show stuff. Now I'm gonna start pulling some random stuff. So this comes off of another site, another section where it is decorative fence, DIY, right? Pool fence, privacy fence, all the stuff we talked about. Here's yet another navigation we've done where people did fence removal, fence repair, that was important for these guys to rank for. So this is not cookie cutter. This is not like every site does the same thing and everybody's following the same script. The things that are important to you are the things that need to be in there, right? And then security gate, I'm just doing this because I want to see, some people in this room might be like, oh my gosh, I never really thought about separating this thing out. This actually is important to us. We can put this in the navigation. So for some of you, you're like, dude, I totally got this. I want to go on, and I get that. But there are some people that need this, and so we're going to do this. Netting, sports netting is a thing that I see a lot more fence companies doing in recent years. But it's not, so you could just do sports netting. You absolutely could. Absolutely could do sports netting, that's the only thing. But what we see is that when you break it out and you're like, we have barrier netting and backstop netting and golf netting and all that there are a whole lot of people that need golf netting that are specifically searching for golf netting. Right, we all know that's just another sports netting thing. So you need to, if you want to capture the traffic, you need to be specific. If you want to rank for a thing, you have to have a page for the thing, and it can't suck. I love that. Yes. All right, and then whatever. We could do this all day. I could show you all I'm hoping that anything I put on this screen inspires anybody to think about something a little bit different way. So. Anyway, and then, and let's not forget the gates, automated gates, manual gates, a state gate. The gates, dude, this could be a whole topic on its own because you can approach this in all kinds of different ways, right? There's the gate automation access control, certainly you can focus over there, right? The commercial gates, but there's a lot of traffic out there for things like an overhead lift gate, for example, right? Because that's not everybody would do something like that, right? So, and the people know that. Whoever's in a position to do a search for a thing to try to find a local company, if they don't have a relationship, that's a whole different story, right? But if they don't already have a provider and they want an overhead lift gate or something like that, they will specifically, we see this in the Google traffic data all the time, they will be very specific about looking for that type of gate because they've learned the hard way that not everybody provides that type of gate. So that actually can hit your navigation. Anyway, don't want to geek out too much, but we're all fencers. We all want to geek out about that stuff a little bit. So again, you start unfolding stuff and things. You can, different things can fold down in different ways, but it all stays very organized. All right. Any questions about that before we go to the next topic? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so your digestible audience sounds like two people, Google and the customer. And I understand you want the layered depth of pages for Google, but I'm also thinking of, like you said, the attention span of that customer. I've got 5 seconds because they may not even read. So to get them to click,
Yep.
let's just pretend 5 layers deep. Probably already lost it at that stage.
All right, so I want y'all to keep the questions coming because so far every question has been spectacular. So just keep this rolling. Thank you for that. That is a great question. All right, man, so the audience is 3 layers deep. It's people, Google, and AI, which is totally not the same. So it's very good. So the point here is that when somebody's doing a search, let's just use Google because I know everybody knows Google. Not everybody's as tight on AI and the way AI search and AI mentions work. So just think about Google. So right now I'm looking for a pool fence, right? So that's what I typed in. Fence contractor near me specialized in pool fence, whatever, something like that, right? So they're not going to end up on your home page. They're going to end up on your pool fence page because that was the page, if you did it well, if you have a page that doesn't suck, then that Google's going to take you directly to the pool fence page. So yes, it might be a couple layers deep if people were trying to navigate to it, but it is the page that pulls up when they're searching. right? All right. So if it's done well, that's how it would work. Now, the other piece of this is, and 5 seconds and all that, you're right on it with all that stuff. But so when you do interest somebody, so let's just say they go to the pool fence page. Let's stick on this for a second. And it's a deep page and there's a lot of things that are on it. 50%-ish of the people do not give a crap about anything that's on that page except your phone number, right? Half of the people that hit your site don't give a crap about it. Give me the phone number, give me someone to call, I don't have time for this baloney, right? And that's good. But there's another half. There's another half of people who are in this research phase. They want to learn. I don't know. Can I trust these guys? I've been burned before. I've heard bad stories. Yeah, but do they do this? You know, and all that. And so there's the other half. So for the first half, we do this. Phone number way up top. Bam. You don't need to read anything. But Google got you to the pool fence page because your pool fence page was amazing, right? And then the other half, now that they're on the pool fence page, will tear that page up. And I'm sure for anyone who has a high quality website, and I don't know what percentage it is here, but I am sure that anyone who has a high quality website can share stories about, like, dude, the people this lady that called me knew more about our website than I knew about our website. They asked me questions about things that were in my FAQs that I didn't even know were on my site, right? Because there are people that will read all that stuff. All right, stealable idea number 5. Again, none of these are earth-shattering, but they're all critically important, is your consistent NAP. Us web people, geeks, love to try to confuse people with abbreviations. It's alphabet soup. I don't know why they do it, but it's name, address, and phone number, right? Very simple, right? This is our business name. This is our address. This is our phone number. Like, why could we even bother talking about this topic? But you would be shocked. And I know there are people sitting in this room that you do not have consistent NAP data, name, address, phone number, on your website itself. I've seen plenty of websites where in the footer it said, you know, I'm ABC Fence, but on the contact page it's ABC Fence and Gate, right? Something like that. Or on my Facebook page it's ABC Fence LLC, because that's how I put it in. That little difference is not the same. Google doesn't see it the same. AI doesn't see it the same. Us as people can process that very easily, that ABC Fence and ABC Fence LLC is the same thing, or ABC Fencing and Gates or something. I get it. As people, we can process that. Google and AI do not like that. And that inconsistency of NAP data leads to a lack of trust, and that can hurt your rankings. It absolutely will hurt your rankings. And then your address, right? Well, 3 years ago we were at this location, but since then we moved over here and we forgot to update that on our Google Business profile. The consistency of that NAP data across your whole digital footprint, everywhere you are listed across the web, has to be completely consistent, or you cause yourself problems. Phone numbers, we see that. When we first started, the owner had his phone number listed, right? But over the years, we changed the phone number to ring at an office and at a desk. But somewhere out there, we didn't remember to change that phone number. These things happen all the time. By the way, there's a test for this. I almost forgot. You guys, I don't have it in the presentation, but you could come to our booth here, or you can reach out to me, or you could do it yourself. You don't even have to come to us. You can go on the web and you could do free NAP test, and we could put it in, but we'll do it for you here at the show. You can know if you have any problems across over 100 different directories. Are you inconsistent anywhere? It's important to know. It's easy to fix, but you can't fix it if you don't know it. Sorry, I gotta take a little drink. I gotta feel a cough coming on. Whew. This cold air, man. All right. So, NAP stuff in your footer. Take a look at it. In the header, look in the footer. Look at your contact page. That's another key place where this kind of information will come in. And said it already, but I see inconsistencies all the time where on one place on the site it says something a little bit different. You can't do that. And this is an example of your Google Business Profile, which has all that information, and all of that stuff and 100 other places all has to match up. Yes, sir. So, I guess there's two ways I would answer this. One, I personally see no value in including the LLC anywhere online. This is nothing on the line, on the stuff we're talking about is a legal document. Now, you can run into trouble with Google Business Profile that will force you to, sometimes, often, more and more these days, will force you to list your business exactly the way it was registered on paperwork. Google has gotten pretty nasty about that. And so if that is like literally part of the business name, you know, you can be an LLC without having that be part of your business name, right? I could be ABC Fence LLC officially, legally, but I didn't have to register it that way. So publicly. But man, I would say, here's the way to answer this. Unfortunately, your Google Business Profile is going to drive everything. That is the number one most important asset that you have outside of maybe your own website. And it's arguable it might be more important than your own website. Whatever you have it registered as Google Business Profile, dude, I would just acquiesce and just say, that's what I'm going to do everywhere else. Because you can change any of the other ones at will. You cannot just change your Google Business Profile registration at will. You try that and you can get yourself into some trouble. Yes, sir.
How would you deal with the DBAs then?
So DBAs, legitimate, like properly registered DBA. All right, if it's a properly registered DBA, you can submit that DBA paperwork to Google. They have a process to do that. And you, again, whatever you do, just because of the difficulty of dealing with those goofballs, is to make sure you get it properly changed there and that they accept it and then go ahead and deal with it everywhere else. You know, I wish it wasn't that way. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just the messenger in this case. All right. Anything else? Oh, I like this interaction. All right. Tip number 6, clearly define service area. So if you, there's a lot we could talk about here, so we'll take this as fast or as slow as we need to. But you should have complete clarity. You should provide complete clarity to Google, to AI in particular, and to any humans when they go to your website. It is not sufficient to say fencing across Colorado. Right? That is just not sufficient. And then it's like, all right, well, I understand Littleton is in Colorado and Denver's in Colorado. So as a human, I understand that. But even as a human, I feel uncertain about that. I like to work with a company who's closer to me. So I understand that you serve all of Colorado, but where are you located? Are you actually near me? Do you list this out? So even as a human, I do want to know. Right? So, but with Google, with AI, there's all kinds of different ways you could do it. This is an example of a section that could show up towards the bottom of your homepage, where it lays out and it breaks it down. It listed. I know you probably can't read it here, but we proudly serve communities throughout Indiana. Describe it, including these key towns in this map, and in this county, and you'd be clickable, and you could go over, and in this county, we serve these towns, in this county, we serve these towns. This is only one way to do it. Right now, y'all know that this is not just a simple list. This is not just this. If it was just a list, it would be meaningless. Behind each one of these is a link to a page that doesn't suck. It's a page about that town that's legit, organic, authentic, expert information that is specific to that location, whatever that means. We'll talk more about that in just a second. I don't want to get too far into that. But that is a deep, high-quality page that has good information on it. And so this is not just a list. All right? So this is one way to define it. You can define this thing in all kinds of places. Again, on the home page, our company page is another great place to put it. So you put on a home page for sure. For sure. On your company page, I would recommend that you give another good nod to it there as well. Because if I'm talking about my company, a natural logical topic to talk about, again, is, this is our company, this is what we do, and this is where we do it. Right? So that makes sense. And definitely, again, on your contact page, you should call out, again, where you do your services, where you provide your services. So those are the places where you could do it here. And then, let me just see what we had here. Oh, and then what this is trying to show here is that you pepper this stuff throughout, but each one of these is a good page. This is a page, for example, about Kokomo, Indiana. And this is a deep page that might have FAQs specific to that town, project photos that were completed in that town that are geotagged. Google can tell where photos were taken. Y'all know that? Right? Google knows if the geotagging was done properly, Google can tell where the photo was taken. Google wants organic, authentic information. Dude, there is so much fake stuff out there. People, right? AI could generate, it can make it look like you're the biggest fence company that ever lived, right? But Google can see photos, right? Like for example, I'll take a silly example, but if we installed a fence down in Naples, there's palm trees. If I tried to pawn that off into Colorado or Indiana, that's not gonna work. Google can tell that would just, right? So they're that good now, right? So there are cues that they could take to know that these are organic and authentic. Testimonials from customers from that location on that page, all for there. Oh, town B? You got to do it again. FAQs that are specific to that town and project photos to that town. Do you have to do all that? If you want to win, if you want to outrank your competitors, yeah. And I know this because there are hundreds and hundreds of fence companies out there that are doing this, hundreds of them, which means that there are folks in your neck of the woods somewhere that is doing some of this. Maybe not all of it, maybe not to the highest level, but they're doing some of it. And if you're doing less, you're probably gonna rank behind them. If you ever wonder why I'm located in this town, and I rank pretty well, but I also wanna install fences in the 20 towns around me, and you're like, I got 1 or 2 towns I rank apparently, I guess I rank, I don't know, maybe I've never even checked, but I get business over here, and so I'm good, but I hardly ever get any business in these other towns, right? You probably don't rank, and you're probably not ranking because there's another competitor that's actually in that town, or worse, they're not in that town, but they're kicking your butt over there because they did this and you didn't do this.
Question for you. So you talked about putting this on the homepage, but so for instance.
Not just that one little section.
But if we have commercial and residential, our residential locations are much smaller than what our commercial locations.
Absolutely.
How do you, because you don't want to mislead a customer coming that maybe is looking for a residential fence.
Yep.
That we do fences 100 miles away. How do you?
That's a great question. We run into this all the time. So I don't have an example to show you, but I'll describe it. So, communication's a great thing, right? So if you can describe it to me, which you just did, then we can turn around and find out and figure out a good way to describe it to the public. And you can take a situation like this, you kind of split the screen and say, our residential service area, and then describe it and list it, our commercial service area, describe it and list it. That's one way you could do it. But just communicate it and then figure out how to present that. But that happens all the time. Commercial, we'll go 100, 150 miles out. Residential, not so much. Any other questions about all this stuff? So if you are sitting there and anything that I said up to this point is like, oof, I don't know if we did that, then I am gonna challenge you guys, this is where to start. All right, if you're gonna try to figure out forget about the rest of this stuff. That stuff is the fundamentals. If you don't have that right, nothing else that I'm gonna talk to you about is gonna help you until the fundamentals are down, all right? So get that on. All right, group 2, building trust. Here's some ideas that you might be able to steal building trust. Again, not earth-shattering, but very important. Trust badges, industry badges, FWA, AFA, BBB, any of these kinds of things, right? There's AFA. Get any kind of industry badges, business badges, Better Business Bureau, local chamber of commerce, right? You got to join these entities. Yesterday, I talked at much greater length in my talk about this. I'm not going to do it again because there's a lot of folks in here, but at a high level, when we first started this 31 years ago, we used to give that advice. Join the local business bureau, Better Business Bureau, local chamber of commerce, and things like that. Then for the last 15-ish years, it didn't matter. Google was total king. Google didn't care as much. Google's always cared, they just didn't care as much. Well, we're back into a new era where the old is new again. If you are not a member of Better Business Bureau, I would strongly suggest that you do that. If you do not belong to your local chamber of commerce, I would as a digital marketer, I'm not talking about whether you get any value out of going to their mixers, or I can't speak to that, right? But as a digital marketer, these things matter. Again, I don't want to go too far off track, but it matters more than it used to in the last few years. Yeah. So it's definitely better to be fully registered, but even being a member has some benefit. The problem is we actually have a client as of yesterday. This is the first time I've ever heard this. I've been doing this a long time. Yesterday I got a message from one of my team members, or one of our client managers, that one of our clients who is just a member, not fully registered or whatever the terminology is, I forget. They have the Better Business Bureau badge on their site because they are listed. And Better Business Bureau came and demanded that that be removed because they're not a fully registered member. And that was something I was not personally familiar with. So that's a thing that we're sorting out right now. But certainly I would recommend that being registered is proper because as just being listed as a member, you get a mention on their website, which is nice. But you don't get a link back to the site, and the link is more valuable than the mention by a lot. So that. But now apparently, as of new information yesterday, you might not legally be even able to put the Better Business Bureau badge on your site, and you can open yourself up to some trouble. I'm still sorting that out. That's brand new info to me. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I definitely can't speak to their business model because I'm not familiar with that. What I do know is that it is a measurable ranking criteria as life exists right at the moment to be a member. I can't say what's going to happen in the future.
So local, like home builders associations, builder associations, I'm sure that would help.
100%. Yeah. Yep. So we actually have, if anybody's interested, I have a great list for this. Again, reach out, man. Just let me know how I can help. I have so much stuff. We have a YouTube channel that has tons of stuff, but I actually have a great checklist about like, these are some of the entities on the business side of things that you might consider. And you could just go down the list and be like, dude, I never thought about this one. I'm already a member of something like this, but I never put it on the site, whatever. So just reach out. I'll be happy to share a list, but the list is pretty long and it's all good. A local charity is also a very good one. So you want business-related entities, BBB, Chamber of Commerce, things like that. You want industry-related entities, AFA, FWA, Mr. Fence Academy are the three big ones that Google and AI recognize as fence industry authorities. And then you have local entities, local church groups and youth leagues and other things like that, and layer those. If you get some of these and some of those and some of these, and then that establishes you as a business entity. All right. Here's another way to do this is not only with the badges, again, we are dealing with trust issues. So you can do the badges, but then we get some stats. Some of you guys have seen that where it like rolls up. We've done like 1 million feet of fence, right? Or something like this. 41 years in business. This is a big one. I almost forgot to even say this. This is a huge one for AI. AI cannot figure it out yet on their own, apparently. If you do not make these kinds of statements on your own website, it never comes up in an AI search. Like if you have the benefit of being in business for a long time, that's a huge trust factor. Here's a fun little exercise that you guys could do. Go to ChatGPT and say, and hopefully, if your version of ChatGPT already knows that you're associated with a business, then you gotta log in some other way, you know, and not use your account or whatever. Like you want to do this totally cold, is to go there and say, who are the top 10 fence companies in, you know, my area, whatever that area is. And then it'll list you out. And hopefully you're on that list. Hopefully you're high on that list. But whether you are or are not, it does not, well, it matters a ton. But for the second part of it, it matters a whole lot. But for the second part, you can go back and now say, why did you order this in the way you did? Why did you prioritize these companies over those companies? Why am I not higher? Like you can ask ChatGPT and it will tell you, well, we chose this company because blah, 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 blah. And you know, this company for this. And what you're gonna start seeing is it's the formula for ChatGPT. Don't overextend it because every AI engine handles it a little bit differently. Don't assume that because ChatGPT ordered it this way for these reasons, that applies to Claude or Perplexity or Gemini or any of the other AI engines. But it starts to give you an idea of what's happening. And what you'll see is that these kinds of things matter a ton to some of the AI engines, and you have to actually say it on your website. All right, so go back to your website, are we saying these things? If you're a brand new fence company, you know, you can't do that. But if you've been around for a while, that stuff needs to be on the site. All right, still on the trust issue. Number 10 here is a personal note from the owner right on the home page. This is a great way to do things. There's actually a whole lot of trust items. We call this a whole trust section. Things like this are big. I don't know, you know, obviously I don't know how y'all do things on your websites, but a personal note from the owner, little photo, little handwritten little signature, right? If you happen to be so blessed to have a nice sized team, you get a photo of the team. This one happens to be a video. It's a beautiful video. Pop it open and it tells this a little bit more of the story. This is all good. This is mostly for people at this point. This is not really for Google, but this is a huge conversion point. The biggest problem we have in this world right now is trust, right? It used to be forever, money was the biggest issue, right? I forget, I give a talk about this. It's been a little while, so I forget what the dates are off the top of my head. But like up until like the 1980s, I believe, like forever, up to 1980, it was always money. The challenge that I had was everything, that was always my number one concern. I can't afford to get this because I have to buy that, right? And the money was always the biggest challenge. That was always the thing you had to overcome. Once we hit the 80s, time became the biggest problem. We're so busy. Anything that can save me time is what's going to win. Consumers identified this. Like it was the savings of time, the time savings was more important than the money savings. For the first time in history, that started happening in the 80s. That doesn't mean money was unimportant. It's always been important, but time actually became a little bit more important, right? Well, that's still true. We're all still busy as hell, and money's still tight. So those two things are still true. But for the first time ever, 3 years ago, for the first time ever, the biggest problem identified by consumers was trust. That's the biggest problem by consumers. That's the first thing that they will cite is that I will pay more. I'll even take a little bit more time, a little bit, it's gotta be reasonable. I'll pay a little more and I'm willing to wait a little bit longer as long as I can trust you. So establishing trust is the number one thing you guys have to do. If you can hit all three, if you can establish that folks can trust you, and by the way, our process is so good that we actually are gonna be able to get to you, you know, fast, and this is gonna be an easy, quick, easy process, and we're reasonably priced. You need to tick all those three. But this is why we're focusing on the trust issue right now so much. Trust is the number one problem. So give them a little personal note. Show them who you are. Any smiling face will do. You can have neck tats, face tat, gauges, but I'll tell you what, you throw a big smile and, you know, and say some kind words, and we're just at a place in our lives now and as a society where we can get past that. 20 years ago, we weren't getting past that, but we can get past that now, right? So it doesn't matter, like any smiling face will do. Take the sunglasses off. I know you look cool, but people need to see the eyes and see the smile in the eyes. All right. And then we have the trust issues, family owned and operated, professional, reliable, things. This whole section sits on the homepage, and it's all about trust, and it's all for conversions. Any questions or thoughts about that? All right. Any of this stuff, if you're veteran owned, first responder, any of that kind of stuff, it matters. Throw it on the page, put it down towards the bottom, make sure it's on your company page. Use those things. In the fence industry, I don't see any conversion value. I was going to say value. That would have been the wrong way. I don't see any indication in statistics that woman-owned or minority-owned moves the needle very much. I don't know why. It's not my call. I'm just looking at conversion rates. I'm not saying if you're woman-owned and you're proud of it, and you should be, throw it on the site. If you're minority-owned and you're proud of it, by all means, throw it on the site. I don't see that makes a big difference in conversions, but I do see that veteran-owned and first responder-owned does actually seem to make a difference in conversion rates, for whatever it's worth. Again, trust through warranties. This is big. I'm sure this is not news to anybody. But what should be news to some people maybe, based on what I see, is how much you play up that warranty on the site. Now, I am aware that a lot of fence contractors are like, man, I don't want anybody calling me on the warranty. I don't want to take any warranty issues, right? That all these callbacks and all this, and the more bold I am with my warranty, the more I bring the warranty out to people, the more callbacks I get, because people say, well, you said we had 3 years, blah, 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 and we're going to call you out. I'm not talking about from a business standpoint. I cannot make that judgment for you guys. But I can say from a marketer standpoint that the more out front and the more bold you are with your warranty claim, and the more willing you are to be out front with it, it gives the consumer more confidence that you are going to stand by that warranty, right? If you advertise it, that's up to you to do whether it's a good business move. But for marketing purposes, it will lead to greater trust, and trust is the biggest issue that we have. And of course, we split into manufacturer, workmanship. And I've got some folks, I don't know if I have them here. I might have a couple of examples of warranties. So here's one of our clients. This is not our call. This is how they wanted to do their warranty. I would be very, very careful here to give a whole bunch of exclusions and get super detailed on the website. That's not necessary. All right, if you're going to provide the documentation to folks, it is totally fine to say generally this is with the warranty. 3 years here, 2 years there, lifetime manufacturer, whatever it is. But for full details, check our documentation, which we'll provide. Right? That's, to me, as a marketer, that is a way better way to go than to give people a whole lot of stuff to read. I do love this though, the manufacturer warranty. These guys, I know you probably can't see it very well down here, but these guys are using Master Halco this and Ameristar that, and then they're linking directly to those items. I think that's a great tactic to use and stuff like that. Again, maybe somebody gets a good idea out of this or not. So, but just know legally, you are not under any obligation on your website to talk about every single feature and factor in your warranty. It's good enough to give them the highlights and then just say, for full details, we have other documentation that we could talk about. And I'm only talking as a marketer. All right. Another trust item is financing. I have to know this. How many folks in here are not offering financing? I just need to know. Wow, I'm surprised it's that high. I would encourage you to consider rethinking that. I don't know what your reasons are. You may have good reasons. If you have good reasons, by all means, do that. But it's absolutely no question. The data shows that just offering financing does help your conversion rates. All things being equal, A/B kind of test, same company doing the same thing. This, for a while they weren't offering financing, for a while they did, the conversion rates went up, even when people didn't use the financing. Don't be fooled. There's value in offering a thing that nobody uses. Like, why? Nobody ever uses it. There are financing options that you have to pay an annual fee for to be able to offer. If nobody's using your financing, don't use those financing options. Don't keep paying annually for a thing that nobody uses. There are other financing options that the end user, the homeowner, might pay a little bit higher rate. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get them financing with other, but if nobody's using it, use that option where you're not paying annually, and you can at least offer, just the ability to offer financing. I don't know what it does. It shows people your higher level of credibility and trust, vetted by a bank. I have no idea what they think about this. Maybe I should figure that out. That might be a good idea for me as a marketer to know. But I know what the result is, all right? Any questions about that? I would really strongly offer it. And if you do offer it, again, you could put it on the home page. All product pages is a good idea to do because some people may not have come in on the home page. I did a search for wood fence. I went directly to your wood fence page. I may not have seen that you offered financing because I didn't go to your home page. So it should probably be on those product pages as well. And you absolutely should have dedicated financing page. I love this. We got some folks here. It's not easy to see here, but these are 3 different financing options that these guys offer. These guys offer 4 different financing options. I would recommend, I think that's great, give people a choice. I would recommend better communication. This is kind of some advice I've been giving to these guys, like why? Like communicate to folks. If you if you typically have credit problems, you might find that it's easier to get financing through this option. If you have excellent credit, you might want to choose this one because the rates are lower, whatever, right? Like I think that we could communicate it better. And maybe these guys do here, I'm not sure, but financing. Preferred vendors, again, we're building trust, right? We're preferred vendors. If you are working with these folks, give it a shout out, man. Some of these are recognized names. Outside the fencing industry as a homeowner, does anyone know who Master Halco or is? I doubt it. If you're not in the fence industry, they're an awesome company, but if you're a homeowner, you don't know who they are, right? But the fact, and I don't mean to pick on them because I could pick on any of these just about, right? Because outside the fence industry, most of these companies don't really have a name. They're not designed to. But the fact that you can mix them in and then it's like, well, we know what Home Depot is, right? For whatever reason that's on there, right? And a lot of folks might know what Bear is. And so when you mix it in, it's like, oh geez, this establishes trust. These guys work with big companies. Even if I don't know who they are, they work with big companies. Testimonials, reviews, things like that obviously helps to build trust. Not as much as you would think anymore. We don't believe anything. How many of you guys see like testimonials and reviews online and you're like, I don't believe that, right? Yeah, or at least I don't know if I believe it. But it gives me the opportunity to at least question, maybe I believe it, which is better than not having them at all. Because if I don't even bother showing reviews or testimonials, what does that say? Have these people actually worked with anybody before? So it actually does move the needle a little bit, I believe. Now, you got to believe these. If you can get video testimonials with customers, I guess, although we live in an AI world now, I guess we could fake these too, can't we? What in the hell can we depend on in the future? I don't even know. But, ignoring that mess right now, if you get video testimonials of customers, make sure you get it on the site for sure. And obviously, it's amazing social media content, but it needs to be on the site. Yes, sir.
Is there like a brand of reviews? We use Reviewify, but I always wondered, is it like a way more valuable review to get it on Google reviews?
So a Google review, absolutely you need to do, right? That if you had to choose only one, get a Google review. Oh, I'm glad you asked this question. You guys, man. All right, Google reviews first. Many people over the years have been Google reviews only. That is no longer good enough. Some of the AI engines, ChatGPT, does not use Google reviews. It in fact, intentionally doesn't want to use Google reviews. Some of the AI engines, many of them are trying to cut Google out of the equation completely. There's an intention to work all the way around Google, avoid Google stuff to try to knock them off. So if you want to rank in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and Gemini, well, Gemini is Google, so that would be different. But they get their reviews off of Facebook. One of them, Perplexity, I think is the one that gets it from Yelp. So here's what you should do. Absolutely 95% of your reviews go to Google reviews. You go over to Facebook, if you get even 10 total Facebook reviews, you're done. You get 10 Yelp reviews, you're done. That's all you need. Google reviews it's quantity, but it's also frequency, right? So if you had 1,000 Google reviews and you're killing everybody, but you haven't bothered to get a Google review on Google for months, you'll notice that you start dropping. So Google reviews are quantity and frequency. The other ones, just get some reviews on Facebook, just get some reviews on Yelp, and you can just kind of forget about those. There's no frequency issue there. But get them there, but then you can transfer them over here. I think your question specifically had to do with there are services that automatically pull the reviews. Like if somebody gave me a Google review, it automatically pulls these reviews and puts it on our website. I am a huge anti-fan of that. I could not be more strong against that particular service. It feels very convenient. It is very convenient. That's for sure. And so they sell on the convenience. The problem is you have no control over, depending on the service. There are some services that literally somebody, if they gave you a 1-star review, that now shows up on your website. Like, hey, I'm very proud of this 1-star review I got. Like insanity to me. I want control. Number two, if for the geeks in here, because I know there are some, I recognize a couple of you, is that when the way that they pull it in embed with what's called an iframe embed, which Google doesn't crawl anyway, right? So we can go, you can manually, if you're working with an agency, that those people can go find a great review that represents it and manually pull it over, and then Google will crawl that, and you'll get credit for that. So I'm not a fan of those at all. But the services that help you get reviews in the first place, I am a fan of those.
Yeah, that's what it does. But it's not like Google reviews. So I was wondering, is there like a benefit to the specific ones, which you sort of said is Facebook, Yelp?
Yeah. Did I cover that for you then? Okay, sir.
So we have Yelp. I've been in business over 20 years, so we have lots of old Yelp reviews.
Yep.
There's a whole area of Yelp reviews that are not recommended.
Yes.
They're all positive. They're all real. How can I get those on my Yelp page?
All right, for those of you that couldn't hear the question, that he has a high number of Yelp reviews that are good quality reviews, but for whatever reason are in the not recommended list. So I am not a Yelp review expert. I have people on my team. As a matter of fact, if you want an answer to that, come by the booth, because the 2 guys on my team that do know insane amounts about that are here with us. So I think I'd rather them answer that question. You know, gotta know where your limits are, right? So, all right. And then more trust, social media. This is a hot topic for me. I have a question. Yes, sir, in the back.
Google star ratings, right? It's got star ratings.
Yeah.
Does Google treat us equally? So if you're doing a 1-star and the guy next to you is 5, does Google do a pure weighted average? Do they apply weights to certain star reviews?
As far as I know, like when they're doing the calculation of, this vendor is a 4.7 or whatever, that's not a weighted, well, I mean, it's the totality of how you would find an average, is the way that they do it. I don't see is somebody going to rank higher with Google because they're a 4.7 as opposed to a 4.6? I don't see any indication of that at all. I do see that if you're down in the 2s, I do see that would take you out. But a couple points here and there don't seem to me. And we have a lot of data. I just haven't seen it. Yes, sir.
Does Google do anything with star reviews that's not related to what you do? Example, my driver cut somebody off, so I'm going to give you a 1-star review. It had nothing to do with what we do.
That's a great question. That is a great question. So we I talked to Justin. We can send you Google's actual guidelines, right? So and it's important because you can now look and see, did it meet this, did it meet that? And if you want some help, we can help. If you are sure that the guidelines are met or not met, depending on the situation, we can help you file a claim to try to get that removed, right? But if you know, so this is kind of it turns into a pseudo-legal thing. If you can cite Google's reviews, Google's policy back to them, according to your policy, this. And as you can see, it does or does not meet this. And, and you can cite the policy right back to them. The chances of it getting removed are way, way higher. The actions that you take, I'm glad that this topic came up. If you get a review that's a fake review, or my driver cut somebody off, or so it's claimed, we didn't even do a service for them and yet we got a review for it anyway, your next steps will make the difference whether that even has a chance of getting removed or not. If you reply, the way you reply could actually hurt your ability to get this thing taken off. So if you ever have a situation like that, hopefully you have a good digital partner that you're working with, but you should talk to the agency that you're working with and make sure you get the proper guidance. Or you could go, well, now these days with AI, although not everything AI said, we all know that like sometimes AI makes some stuff up, right? But you could go to AI and ask a question, and you'll probably get an accurate response. Or you can ask for, do a search for Google's policies about getting reviews removed, and it'll take you right to the Google help page and show you what it is. It's an important topic for sure. But y'all need to know that the actions that you take can make a direct difference on whether that review is removed or not. So not an easy answer, but it's a little nuanced. So when we've done everything right, we together, working as a team, do everything right, and we have made the site great, and we've done all the off-site stuff and link building, and we're getting the rankings, and somebody did the search, and oh my gosh, my site came up first, and yes, everything worked the way I wanted it to work. I do not feel great about saying, hey, go check out our Facebook page. Like, no, you're on my site. Like, I want to keep you here, right? I'm not saying to never do it. Every one of our clients links out to their social media. I'm just not a big fan of highlighting it as a feature, right? We all know if you go down to the bottom in the footer, like if they have social media channels, I could go find that. But that was a decision that they made, right? But to go and say like, check us out on Facebook, first of all, almost nobody's gonna do it. So you kind of wasted valuable screen space anyway. It's kind of, I don't even understand why you would do that. Unless you're one of the very rare folks, a Mark Olson or a Sean King or a Joe Everest in the industry and some others that are legitimate social media influencer type of people. You have amazing videos and all kinds of stuff. And like, if you have a really good reason to send them somewhere, by all means, go ahead and do it. But in my estimation, there's about 5 or 6 people in the entire industry that probably are in that position from what I could tell. So I would just say, I would probably, I think it's good to invite people down in the footer if you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have whatever it is, TikTok and all those things, but nothing more than that. All right, photos and videos. So trust, again, we're still talking about trust. So nothing establishes trust more than photos and videos. This isn't a working web page, so I can't get these videos to play right. Well, I guess I could have. I didn't even try. Well, I guess I could. Anyway, there are amazing videos. If any of you want to see great, if you're like, man, I want video on my site. I want to do something. I'm getting ready to do it. I could use some great examples. We have hundreds of examples of folks we work with that have great videos. Just shoot me. I'll send you 30 links. You could go check stuff out, 100 links, I don't care. Go check out, get inspired, send it to your videographer and say, ooh, I love the storyline, the way they told the story. I like the way the shots were made. I like whatever it is. And there's nothing like inspiration of seeing other great examples. Hopefully that's a little bit of what we're gonna be able to do here. So just let me know, I'll send it. But I highly recommend that you hire a professional photographer and a videographer, or there's somebody on your team that is high quality. We can tell, every one of you sitting in the seat can look at a photo and be like, damn, that is a great photo. Or that's a homemade, weak photo, right? We all see it. You can see the quality difference, right? Everybody can see it. I would say this is it. Here's a few examples. We got the fence company who's here. So anyway, here's some examples of some of the stuff that they did. I love this. Again, I'm just trying to inspire you guys. I'm like, if anybody sees this, like, I love that, I want to do that, then we win here. All right, something like that. These guys are also here, Accent Fence. Love what they did on their site here. This is a video. He's Gary's talking about the values of the company, and this thing is a great video. If anybody wants to do that kind of values type of video, this would be a good one to see. And then each one of these guys, beautiful photos, and then if you click in, then each one of them would open up to like a more personal and a little bit of a bio. This is great. This is so easy. It's such a winner for so many reasons. I know there are some fence companies out there that are like, I don't want to be out front. I don't want my people. Maybe I have too much turnover. Maybe, I don't know what your I do know what the reasons are. But there are some folks that would be like, there is no way I'm doing that. But I think there's some great reasons to do it. If you have a stable workforce of people that, you don't have high turnover, this is a great way to do something really great for them. They feel so much pride in the company and all that, but it's also a great way to show the public who you are. There's it's trust. I don't know if Charles Manson's coming out to my house to put in my fence and axe murder my family at the same time. I have no idea, right? But we can prove that it's not. So. Again, some different examples. Some of the, so there's so many examples here. I like what these guys did, and these folks are here as well this week. I saw them last night. So they had like their whole team, but then when you go to their different pages, like they were doing some outdoor living. Well, this is the gentleman from their team. This is the gentleman that heads up that department, and they featured him on that page. And then they had, when they did the gate operators and access control page, the gentleman who kind of heads up that division was the one that's featured on that page. I thought that was very cool. So again, that might be that type of idea that works for you guys. I don't know. Again, message from the owner. This is a different example of message from the owner. This would be more on like the company page. This would not be on the home page. This would be in the company page. Nice photo, nice quote, pull-out quote, and then a letter for whatever it's worth. How many people actually read it? I bet hardly anybody. But the fact that it's there builds this thing, like, and if they ever end up meeting Danny, they're like, there's an instant trust, just is. We know it. We've all experienced this kind of thing. Community connection. This one, look, I have to really call this one out. This is why I love this industry. So many fence contractors across the country and manufacturers support their local communities in so many ways and do such a crap job of documenting it. It's so terrible as a marketer. As a human, it's awesome. As a human, I love this industry. As a marketer, I want to strangle the industry. If you go out and support your local communities, man, get a picture. Tell a little bit of a story. The trust that this has, and by the way, Google and AI both recognize this and give credit for it, right? Why not? Like, you didn't do it for it, maybe. I don't care. Maybe you did do it so you can get higher credit, but I don't care. Whatever reason you did it, you did it. Get it on your site.
That would be internally generated?
Yeah. I mean, so I see, so the real gold is if you do like the little girls softball or little league, right? And everybody's wearing your shirt and you get a picture with the team that you're sponsoring. And so you were involved, maybe you coached it, who knows, right? That stuff is gold. Get that photo, put the story on. So internally you can do that. If you can get it in such a way where the things that you supported, they had an online, some website, some Facebook page or whatever, you are absolutely within your rights to ask the question, like, hey, is this going on the site? Or can we get this on the site? I'd love to have this on the site. And link back to us or mention us or whatever. If that's external, that's even better. You can't control that other than asking for it. But it's amazing how many folks don't even ask for it. Ask for it, try to see if you can get it. Other stuff, here's another example of in the community kind of stuff. These guys are serious about it. Not only do they have this, hey, this is what we do in the community, but they are saying, like, fill out our form. Maybe we can help you or your group or whatever. They're really serious about it. I don't know if I recommend that or not, but they, it works for them. That's what they want to do. All right, specific website features now. FAQs, this is stealing money. If you go to your site, you don't have a lot of FAQs and they're not really good, organic, authentic, not general baloney crap that was made by AI that is not specific or valuable in any way. That is garbage. It's wasting everybody's time. I'm talking about legit like FAQs related to Like in this particular case, we're talking about wood fence. Legit stuff. You know, what is different about our wood fence versus any other wood fence? How do we do our posts? What is our warranty on wood fence? Whatever it is, right? And it's good, organic, authentic stuff. You should have a solid list. It's fold and unfoldable, right? They just go down. This is stealing money from Google right here. This is big, great content, AI content. It comes in there, so do that. If you are so blessed to have the time and effort and everything to get videos in here, do that. You're now stacked it. Every time, by the way, this is off topic just a little bit, every interaction with your website, it's measured as a user action. So think about this. Google's trying to figure out whose website is better, who's better as a company, whose information is better. So it needs signals. It's called user signals. So every single time that somebody scroll down the page, that's a user action. Right? So if you have a really, really short page, you don't even give people a chance to get many user actions. How many people will scroll? About half of them. Right? Scroll. Every time somebody clicks, user action. Right? So when you have something like this as a list of FAQs, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Click, unfold. That's an action. And most people are tidier on the web than they are in their own homes, will click to fold it back up. Very odd, right? We'll leave socks laying around, but we'll fold back up an FAQ accordion. It's ridiculous, right? So, but like it's a click. Well, here now we've stacked the clicks. This actually would count as multiple user actions where they clicked unfold and they're like, oh, geez, there's a video here. So I clicked to unfold it, then I clicked to play it, then I click to stop it, then I probably click to fold the thing back up, action. And so when you give these opportunities, Google measures this. Hey, every time somebody comes to this site, this page, whatever it is, like people are engaged. They scroll, they click, they watch, the time it took, the time to watch the video, the time on page. These are all things that Google tracks. Your site must be better than this other person's site because people click more, scroll more, watch more on yours than on theirs, you rank better. But if you don't have it, you can't get that. So you have to have it in the first place. That's good. Listen, that's worth the price of admission, just that one right there. Any questions about that? Yes, sir.
You're using the term action. Is there also one called interactions? Is that measured?
So that is a pretty nuanced. The answer is yes. There is a difference between action and interaction.
The reason I ask, we have a digital media company we used to use that would say every month, oh, you had 1,000 interactions and X number of views.
Oh.
They were using that as a way to justify that we should continue to pay.
All right, so there are lies, damn lies, and then marketing reports. That would fall into that. Yeah. If we have time, I'd like to come back around to that because that's a thing. Good. All right. Photo galleries. This is a great one. Almost all of you have photo galleries, I hope, on your site. Examples of our work, things like that. Man, I would really recommend that whatever amount of effort you put into that, you should probably triple it. But we talk about the reasons why in a second. But I would also suggest that you categorize it. By default, maybe it shows all, right? But you can allow people like, no, I don't care about your gates. I'm here right now looking at wood fence. Like, get the rest of the stuff out of my way. I want to see all your wood fence stuff or whatever. Categorize it. That's an action anyway. People said, hey, somebody clicked it. And so that was an action. And now you show. And then, of course, they should all be clickable, blow up, nice description. When they clicked it and blew it up, that's another action, right? But then, so you have all the photos, but then on the relevant pages. If I'm on the wood fence page, I should have at least a photo strip of wood fence examples with these are examples of our wood fences, and click here to see all of them, and then that would take them to the photo gallery. If I'm on the vinyl fence page, then I get a vinyl fence strip. If I'm on the company page, I get a strip of company-related people photos, truck branded t-shirts, but people building fence, right? So every page, in my opinion, should have related photos that go back to a photo gallery. It's so critical. I love this as an idea. You could steal the detailed project spotlight. So it's project based now, right? It's not just photo, 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 but like, oh, you want to learn more about this project? And then you click in, or whatever one this is, I don't know, that one right there. You want to learn more about that one? Here it is. There's a write-up. Here's all the photos related to that project. This is gold for local search. Whatever town that project was completed in, this really helps you rank better for that location. This is very valuable, especially if you take the time to give a decent write-up that uses that calls out which town this was in, and then each one of these photos would be geotagged to that town. Like, it's great. It's gold. It's gold. Do it. And it's not everyone, right? We all have, you do 10, 15, 20 fences but then there's the one, and you're like, man, this property is beautiful, the choice of fence is beautiful, when you have that, feature that. If you don't have somebody on staff to capture that, I would recommend to all of you, if you don't have somebody who's great with the camera, or maybe they are great with the camera, but they have another job, man, get a local photographer on retainer. You would not believe how inexpensive it is if you made a commitment and said, hey, once a month, once every other month, whatever it is, I'd like to get you out for half a day to catch these 3 or 4 or 5 key projects that we completed in that time period. And once or twice, we're also going to get some team photos like we saw before, and somebody who can count on they're going to get some repeat business, half a day here, half a day, half a day, half a day, half a day. You would be surprised, a lot of you, how inexpensive that can be to get a pro photographer to go out there and just group this stuff up. It's not that hard. If you want to know more about how to pull that off and how to organize that, let us know. I think we have a sheet about how to do that. All right, video gallery, same thing. Shoot videos. There's no other way. It's the easiest way to rank right now. I forget the stat. The stat was off the charts. It's like a bazillion blog articles for every one video over 90 seconds or so. It's like insane. So it's so much easier to rank for a thing. Everybody's out writing blog articles. We do it. I mean, you need to do it, right? Web companies, marketing companies, you write content. Maybe you guys write your own content. That's all good. But like, everybody's doing this stuff. And meanwhile, relatively speaking, very few are shooting videos. Shoot videos.
Where do you recommend posting
YouTube, 100%. And if you do shoot, if you bother to do it, please go to ChatGPT, do a search for, tips, SEO tips, best tips on how to make titles and descriptions, video titles and descriptions that will rank on YouTube. It walks you through. Like, you can even show it a video. You could actually put a video in and then put a prompt in that says, create an SEO friendly title and description that would rank on, and it'll literally watch the video and then give you the good stuff. It's great. It's amazing. We live in such a crazy time. It's incredible. If you have trouble attracting good help, this is something that many of our clients do. They have a forum for careers, but then they took the time to shoot videos about the company culture and things, and you hear from your other team members. The team members that you have, dude, they beam. They, like, somebody cared what they said. They'll show their family and friends. If they're a great employee, right, a great team member, I'm not a fan of the word employee. If they're a great team member, and you feature them on the video, they will show this to all their friends. And great people tend to be friends with other great people, right? And so it's actually a really good way to attract good attention. Printed brochure, very easy to do. A good quality professional brochure that you don't even have to print it. It's just you could design it in PDF. I would say of the last 400 fence contractors we've talked to, I would say 20 of them have what I would consider anything that even resembles a high quality printed brochure, or not even printed, designed brochure. So it would put you, when you're out there competing and you give people an estimate and they asked you about wood fence, you have a beautiful wood fence PDF that you can send them. Or God forbid, if you left them in their hands, that's even the next level, right? Because nobody's doing it. So if you're trying to win those jobs like this, consider doing things like this. We have lots of examples. Aaron actually on our team, am I tight? Oh, all right. I can't believe, all right, let me blow through some things. All right, easy process, show people your process. Oh man, gate safety. Absolutely. Get it on your site. If you care about this thing, and you should, get it on the site. Oh man, I can't believe we're out of time. I had so much good stuff. All right, let me show off a couple cool things. All right, you got to show people what you do. Styles, designs, show it. I know it's hard to get photos. That's why we have a bazillion illustrations that we did so that people can see what you do. It's hard to get those photos. Let them see. Oh, if you happen to give people the option of what type of wood, show them what they're buying, right? Different ways to top off your post tops and picket tops. Not all you guys do this, but some of you do. Show it. There's a rule in marketing. You never tell somebody something that you can show them. Never tell them something that you can show them. You got to show them, right? All these kinds of things. If you were a buyer on your site, trying to decide between you and some other company, and on your site they can see all these different options, and on the other guy's site they get 5 photos of these are the types of fences that we built. Like it's not even, you blow them out of the water. It's not even the same thing. This is a big deal. You know, driving posts now, iPosts, and all these different things. If you're somebody that's doing it, you've got to explain it. But you could show them, right? And show the difference. You know, if that happens to be you just different types of posts, right? Like this is great stuff. Here, again, this isn't a working website, so I have to kind of like fake it on this slide here. But you can have them click on things and show them on the inside how it works, and you can do these swipes and show them like, hey, you know, you can click here, and this is that deep, and that's that deep, and all the different, so many different ways to show so many things. This will inspire people. This, and I know, because this is what we do, right? Different post tops, it just goes on and on. All the different fence types, show them the options, security options, privacy options, color options, show them, right? This inspire, click on this. Why is our quality of aluminum post that we use better than anybody else's? We got the rail just goes on and on and on. It's beautiful, right? If you happen to do that, you can show them all these things, all these different gate types. This is a big one. How many of y'all have to try to figure out how to explain to people how to install on uneven ground? You can show them all the different ways that you do it and just all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so I guess as our final takeaway, don't tell people something you show them. People are inspired by what you can show them. Build trust, and I don't know. I don't even know how to wrap this up because I got cut off. But if you have any questions, let me know. And we have a booth if you want to stop by and talk. I got so much stuff. We got 11 of our team members here, so if you want to talk about anything, you can get your answers there. Thank you, guys.